Welcome to the Android Police Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Cody Toombs.
And I'm Corbin Davenport. That's
And
it.
yeah, well, you get just us. It's not a Q&A night. This is a regular podcast night. We just decided, no one else gets to come on. It's
Yeah.
it's our party.
Or everyone else had things to do.
Yeah, that's actually
That
more
might be
likely
the
the
other
issue.
reason. Yeah. Yes.
Well, go
It's
ahead.
fine. I wasn't going to say anything. We're already off to an amazing start.
Oh yeah. Well, we don't have anyone else to stumble in between us, so
That's right. We've got enough. We can handle stumbling all by ourselves. We don't need anyone's help.
Yes. Well, and speaking of stumbles that somehow turned into all kinds of fun party, Google has, had a little bit of a leak. Some pictures got out or some pictures of the Pixel 4 got out, and Google's like, you know what? Yeah, it's real, and it's going to be awesome. And here's press shots, because why the hell not?
This was such an alpha move from Google. It's like, oh, you're going to leak our phone? How about we just show the phone like months ahead of launch?
Yeah, I gotta admit, like that really is a legit move. That's what honestly so many other OEMs should just do, is like
Yeah.
own up and say, you know what, fine, you got us. This is real. We're not gonna lie. We're not gonna hide. Like, who was it? LG, I think it was. Just a few months ago, some leaks got out, and they're like, no, we swear this isn't real. This is
Oh
wrong.
yeah, yeah.
And
that
sure
was
enough,
that
the
was an
announcement comes and it's
adventure.
like, yeah, it's completely real.
Yeah, there might be like one tiny thing different, but it was the same phone. That was an adventure. Google has done the polar opposite. I actually really appreciate this though. I wish everyone would do it, because it's not like it. I know Ryan had kind of a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory. He thinks that maybe Google released these so that in all the inevitable press coverage of every little thing that leaks out about this phone, they'll show a nice press picture instead of like a random render from someone. Which I could believe that, but yeah, I think it's just to get ahead of the curve, and I appreciate Google for doing this.
Um, okay, so I'm gonna go with kind of the middle ground on that. I think those are kind of the benefits, but Google is one of those companies, or my theory is Google is one of those companies where they kind of realize, hey, everyone does something a certain way. Let's just experiment with doing something different.
Hmm.
And in this instance, I think their experiment was literally, hey, let's actually just come right out and do it. Let's see if this hurts us or helps us.
Yeah.
And the Pixel product line is one of those where they can do that. It's not like it's a big moneymaker for them. Even being profitable, it's not like it's going to change any of their bottom lines. So, hey, if it hurts their sales, big deal. They'll see a minor drop. If it helps their sales, awesome. If somehow this one picture is like it undercuts the competitors that come out between now and the Pixel 4 release, that's great for them.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
like the idea.
that's probably it more than anything else. Is Google releases their phones very late in the year, and it helps to have attentions on them while they're still fresh. Um, but yeah, so
Yeah, and
that was go
Ryan
ahead.
made a great point about that too. Of course, that they released so late in the year, it kind of hurts them both on the processor level or the system on a chip level, because it is always one of the very last phones to include that particular hardware.
Hmm.
So they kind of did time that really, or by announcing it in this way, they're not really changing that aspect of it, but they are at least getting people focused more on the phone than the fact that it's just going to be coming so late. Speaking of, for those who haven't seen the post already, Verizon has already kind of revealed that the Pixel 4 launch is still likely to hit in October. They
Yes.
they had a leaked roadmap for their phone releases, and it basically shows there's pretty much no chance it's coming before that, unless I do want to throw this out there, unless Google decides to like release the phone first and then do their like carrier partnerships a couple months later. I don't think that'll happen. I'm just mentioning the possibility.
Yeah. That wouldn't that be a twist if like the year after the Verizon exclusivity ends, like T-Mobile gets like a 3 month head start on the Pixel? That would that would be fun.
Yeah, really. I like Badger's suggestion. It's because the Pixel 4 Ultra is coming this year. Of
Yeah,
course, he's making a joke, but
gotta wait for the Ultra. No, it's not a joke.
oh, if only it could be.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
thank you to the H Zone for subscribing on Twitch. You're a very awesome person for doing that.
yes, and speaking of, if you'd like to help support the Android Police podcast, you can subscribe on Twitch using Twitch Prime, or of course, we do accept paid subs as well. It helps keep the show running. As a subscriber, you also get access to the infamous Ryan emoji, and one day, hopefully, more emojis. We'll see if this happens.
Mhm.
You can use your Twitch Prime sub if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber. You get one free sub every month. You can just go to or we have instructions on the channel page for how to set up and link your accounts, and you can just sub each month. You have to renew it each month also. Uh, yeah, so please come help subscribe or come help support the channel. I'm off today. Sorry, it's super hot in this room.
It's one of those days. Jitsy's not working. Cody's tripping up on words. He, it's just one of those days. But yes, and for the record, if Twitch lets us make more than one emoji per subscriber, oh my god, I can't talk either. It's contagious through the internet. If Twitch let us make more emojis for the base subscription, I'd totally add more emojis, but they only let you do one per tier. Otherwise, I think someone suggested like Cody's beanie could be an emoji.
Ooh,
We
I like that.
we have a lot of also we have a lot of fun emojis in our Slack. We have like 30 versions of like the emoji. And I would love to add those to Twitch, but they don't let us here. So they suck.
Yeah, well, it'll work itself out some way, one way or another. Uh, Speaking of things that somehow work themselves out in the most bizarre way possible, Essential might be teasing, of all things, a new phone. Uh, Crazy possibility. We'd love to see it. Um, but it is still a tease right now. So for those who haven't seen, Andy Rubin actually hit Twitter and replied to a, how old was it? A 9 month?
It's like 8 9 month old tweet.
Yeah. He replied to this old tweet basically saying, "Hey, dare you, announce a new phone?" And yeah, out of the blue kind of pops up and is like, "Yeah, yeah, just wait, it's coming." Like didn't quite come out and say it, but it was not leaving a lot of room for interpretation.
Yeah, so this is interesting because Essential's shown no indication whatsoever until now that they were going to make another phone. Like I think it's coming up on 2 years since the original one came out, and there's been nothing coming out of Essential. Um, they haven't released any other products. The only thing they've done is bought Newton Mail. That was basically it. That's all they've done.
Yep.
So this was surprising. I would
Well,
like this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and they even said they're not going to do another phone at one point. They said that
Yeah,
the company was up for sale.
yeah, yeah. That was the rumor a while, or not the rumor. That's what they said a while ago.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's really interesting to see just this weird comeback, just without explanation. It's kind of
yeah,
awesome, but who expected
yeah.
it?
I guess Andy dug deep into his couch and found a few coins to keep the factories going. Uh, maybe found a mystery investor of some sort. But yeah, so I definitely like to see another Essential phone. But I know we went into this. For those of you who don't watch it, we do a Q&A show on Twitch every Tuesday, and we kind of talked a lot about this because it was fresh off the press that day, breaking news, if you will. And we talked a little bit about this, and the smartphone game has changed quite a bit at least as far as Essential is concerned, since the original came out. Um, the original one, I think it's safe to assume it didn't do super well. I usually phones don't go on like massive fire sales for like a fifth of the original price if they're doing well. Um, so really, I feel like their only choices are either try to compete in like the OnePlus bracket, or maybe even undercut OnePlus slightly, like Asus is doing with the Zenfone 6. Um, or I mean, that might even be it. That might even be their only option, unless they want to make like a some sort of budget phone, or if they want to do something crazy, like maybe a secondary device, like the Verizon Palm phone. They could do something along those lines, but yeah, it's still really hard to sell a $800 phone, especially if you are not Apple or Samsung. And Essential realized found that out with the first phone, and it's only gotten worse since then. Now even Samsung and Apple are having issues selling those $800 phones. So
That's true, but it does strike me. Essential, they have built so much goodwill with like
they have.
really fast software updates and just generally having a good community going. I could kind of see they might be able to just kind of come out of the blue, and if they don't aim for the super high premium pricing, I think they could just acquire so much love just from that goodwill. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of variability to it. Certainly, I mean, this whole industry is nothing but uh, rapid swinging changes from one thing to another. But I don't know. I kind of suddenly have faith in them. So
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I definitely want them to succeed, because we definitely need more options for smartphones. It doesn't help anyone when there's like four companies that are selling smartphones in the US. So yeah, I definitely hope they do well. The Essential phone was very close to being a really good phone. It was mostly just it was the high price, and it was also uh, the signal issues. A lot of people had signal issues with that phone. Even Ryan talked about it in his review. A lot of people could overlook that when the phone dropped to like $300 or whatever, but for $800 here, that's kind of a killer.
I had
So
actually forgotten about the signal issues.
yeah, that was the main issue with that phone, as far as I know. I know the camera also wasn't super amazing, but again, when it dropped at $300, I think people could forgive a not so great camera.
There were also performance issues, if I recall. Though I could be wrong. I think that got solved in a software update like 2 or 3 months later. But
It might.
yeah, there was some early on jank that I think was causing like frame drops or uh I don't know, maybe just overall slow performance. Whatever it
Mhm.
was, there was something. Um
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the original phone was pretty close to being very good. It just had a few issues, and if they could fix those and maybe find some kind of angle to sell this and not just flop like last time, you know, I wish I wish them luck, because I'd like to see another Essential phone.
and also almost as if you were just aiming for this beautiful topical crossover.
I
Uh
know I didn't even see what was next on the topic. I could have done the
it's the
best.
ultimate segue point.
Yeah.
We really needed more competition in the market, which just kind of makes sense because it looks like another competitor is barely relevant anymore. And that's going to
Ooh.
be HTC. They're
Yeah.
not dead yet. They're really truly not dead yet, and they are working really hard to prove, sort of, that they're not dead yet. They're
Yeah.
releasing two new phones. Go ahead. I think you probably have more to say on these than even I
Oh.
do.
Well, yeah, they're releasing two new phones, but they're mid-range, low-end devices. They're the HTC U19e, fantastic name, and the HTC Desire 19 Plus. So those are the two new phones, and they're not super amazing. One of them has a Snapdragon 710 with 6 gigs of RAM, so it has more RAM than the Pixel. There you go. 128 gigs of internal storage, and then the other one is a lower end one. It has a MediaTek Helio P35 chip in it with 4 or 6 gigs of RAM, depending on which version you get. And yeah, so these are coming out initially in Taiwan, which is where HTC is based, and we don't know if it's coming in the US. The pricing roughly translates to $475 for the more expensive one and $318 for the cheaper one, which are kind of expensive for what you get, but also like the prices don't translate exactly going from Taiwan's currency to the US. So, but yeah, I don't know. I've always found HTC's fall kind of depressing because I really loved the 2016 Pixel, and they were obviously the OEM for that. That was a fantastic phone. It still works to this day. It's the phone I've had the longest that has continued working. I can't say that for the 2 LG Nexus phones I bought, but that Pixel is still chugging.
Actually, now that I think about it, my Nexus 4 actually did survive a really long time and technically still works, but I get the slightest bit of battery bulge on it, I think. So I've stopped charging it. It's now just a member of the museum.
Yeah, don't want to start a house fire. But yeah, if you look at you can find the link to this article in the show notes, in the Twitch chat, and everywhere. But the phones themselves don't look too bad. They're doing a cool transparent thing on the back where you can see the parts through it. That's kind of cool. But yeah.
And this, I feel like it's a pretty safe bet. These are still stickers, but
yeah, definitely, they're definitely stickers. But it's cool.
To their credit, these look more realistic, or well, sort of more realistic. I mean, it doesn't look like as much of a staged shot as it would be on some of the other transparent phones that we've seen. So, but I mean, it does actually look kind of neat. And honestly, I like their color choices. Extraordinary purple. It's just a dark phone, but it's a nice purple hue, and modest green, which is kind of like that mint green color that was used on what was the name of that weird phone Ryan was in love with for a while?
The Poco phone, was that mint?
I don't think so. No, it was some former HTC designer.
Was it the Nextbit Robin?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
I bought one of those for my brother. It was a very cool looking phone, but he broke it after like 6 months. That phone was not known for its durability. It was very plastic, and he took it to school and he dropped it on the floor of the lunchroom, and the screen no longer turned on.
Oof.
And it wasn't even like a long drop. It was maybe a foot, but yeah. It still looked pretty.
That's brutal. And thanks to This Is Brandon 4 for the Twitch Prime sub. Excellent having you here.
You're awesome.
As far as the Desire 19 Plus, it's hard to really tell from the picture of it, but it doesn't look that remarkable to me.
No, it's just really generic, and that Helio P35 chip is really old at this point.
Oh, is it? Yikes.
I'm pretty sure that's like from like 2015 or something. It's
really,
it's real old.
Why?
Because it's super cheap and it's like 8 cores, so it's good enough. When did this come out? Yeah. Oh no, it came out in 2018. Oh, I guess I'm confusing it with another.
Okay. I was going to say, I can't imagine HTC buying something that old to put into
okay. This is the same company that put a Texas Instruments chip in a smartwatch. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Wait. No, that was Motorola.
Oh, crap. You're right. I can't even make Burns right. Damn it.
Hey, okay, if anyone else would have done it, it would have been HTC.
Yeah. I've just imagined like HTC scrapping the bottom of their factory. Like, there's got to be some processors here somewhere. What do we got in the back?
There's no denying that's pretty much what Motorola did.
We got some Snapdragon 810s back here. They only slightly burn your hand.
All right. Well, funny enough, you bring up a smartwatch. not exactly a smartwatch, but let's transition to the Xiaomi Mi Band 4. And you would choose just this moment to take a sip, but I'm just
Yes.
going to hand this one to you because I honestly don't know a whole lot about this.
Yeah. So it's funny. This is another one of those cases where um, Xiaomi's kind of completely dominated a certain market everywhere except the U.S. So the last few Mi bands have been really, really popular. I don't, if I remember correctly, Xiaomi is one of the top OEMs for wearable devices in the world because of the Mi Band. They're super cheap. They're like $30, $35, somewhere around there. And the Mi Band 4 just came out, and it kind of looks like it's like a Fitbit with a small, tall screen on the side. It's works exactly like a Fitbit. It tracks physical activity, has a screen on, it's waterproof, all that fun stuff. But this one's actually really cool because it has an NFC chip built into it, so you can also do wireless payments from this $30 wearable. And I would 100% buy this if they brought it to the US. Like I just the idea of having a super cheap small wearable that I can still do the tap to pay stuff without taking my phone out. That's pretty cool. I like my my Fossil Sport watch and my Galaxy Watch Active, but they are pretty substantial watches. It'd be nice to just occasionally slap this on, and I'm sure it weighs almost nothing because it's nothing but plastic and rubber. But the Mi Band 4 is 169 Wayne. I don't know how you pronounce China's currency, but that's about $25. And the NFC model works out to be about $33. It's going on sale in China this month. And also the version without NFC, unfortunately, will be coming to the US and Europe later this summer for €35 or 35 pounds. That's kind of a bummer. I do wish they try to bring this here because I know Xiaomi does sell some stuff in the US. Like if you go on Amazon, you can find some Xiaomi products straight from them. Like they sell scooters and other random electronics. They don't sell these though, which is kind of a shame. And um, yeah, so actually, there's even one person in the chat that says they have a Mi Band 3 and they love it. So there you go. These are pretty good little wearables, and I do wish they'd come to the U.S. Because I would definitely buy one if it worked with Google Pay or even something that yeah. I don't have anything else to say. They're just nice.
Yeah, I wish I could say I've tried them, but I've tried a couple of fitness bands in the past and I can never really get much out of them. A, because my exercise habits are super unpredictable and inconsistent. So any band like that is almost wasted on me anyway. Um and plus I honestly still like smartwatches.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing. I want the notifications. I don't
Well, this
really use
shows
apps too much.
notifications. This shows
But not as
notifications on
many.
the tiny screen. Yeah, not as many, and I imagine it's not quite as useful, but it's still like 80% of the functionality maybe in a $35 tiny package. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, definitely for price, it's a way better deal.
Yeah. Like no wonder Xiaomi's like the top wearable when they're making these things for close to nothing.
Almost makes me wonder, like, could it see because I think a lot of people have asked for Google to make a exercise band or something that would basically just be
Yeah.
like the wearable that wasn't a full smartwatch.
Yeah.
And to some extent, like I almost kind of think they should just partner up with somebody, and Xiaomi would be the obvious choice. Just partner up with them and
Yeah, because
make that available under Google's name with some customizations.
well, I don't think that'd be a good move right now because of certain
Oh
uh,
yeah.
grievances against Chinese companies in the U.S. But yeah, Google has worked with Xiaomi before, like on the Mi boxes. Those are all from Xiaomi, and those sold with Android TV, in Europe and the U.S. Yeah, no, I'd love to see Google also try to do it, but I do wonder if Google did it, the pricing probably wouldn't be any different than from like a Fitbit.
Oh, right.
And knowing Google, the fitness stuff would be a lot worse than a Fitbit. So they'd have to really do something there. But yeah, I'd be down to see Google try to make a fitness wearable. think it totally makes sense. They made earbuds, so they should make a fitness watch. Um, I don't think there's a good segue into this next topic,
Yeah, there
unfortunately.
really isn't.
Yeah, there isn't.
Short
Uh,
version, Samsung is promising a new launch date for the Galaxy Fold.
they are.
Uh,
It's not dead. Surprisingly, it's still hanging around.
yeah, so they haven't said what the new launch date is going to be. They've just said they're going to announce it. So this is an announcement of an announcement for a thing that
It's
was
an
announced
right,
and then
exactly.
was unannounced, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is this
it's
is this is Samsung saying, no, 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 it's coming, guys. Just wait a little bit longer. Please don't cancel any more pre-orders.
and speaking of canceling pre-orders, as I understand it, sorry, AT&T has canceled all of the pre-orders that had gone through them. Am I mistaken on that, or I swear I
No,
read it?
no, that happened, but I think that's more just because of the same law that Best Buy canceled their pre-orders. Where there's, I forget exactly what the terms are, but there's a U.S. law where like you can't hold a pre-order past a certain date if you don't have a firm release date or something along those lines. So I think it was probably just AT&T complying, and I'm sure also maybe they were getting complaints like, "Where's my phone?" Because
Yeah.
when you order through AT&T, you're not pestering Samsung for it, you're pestering AT&T. So
So that law, I may be mistaken, but from my days working at Dell, I'm pretty sure that law was it was known as the mail order rule. Basically, yeah, you can't hold someone's money or a promise of money for longer than a certain time without having specific dates for shipping, or be able to guarantee that you're going to ship within, I think it's 2 weeks, or maybe it was a month,
right,
something like that. Um, and to be fair, that law has probably changed a little bit since I first learned it, but still
yeah,
thinking
there's
that's the
something
reason.
like that AT&T is probably complying with.
Regardless, yeah, Samsung pushing the date back multiple times, and I honestly, I'm still kind of waiting. I have this funny feeling that they're going to release it in the smallest way possible, and they might even just like cut sales instantly. Somehow I just don't see this phone coming out in its
Yeah, well,
original
I think I
glory.
think I think they'll probably come out, but they'll make maybe 50,000 units, and then they'll call it a day, and they'll say, if you want one, come back next year. We'll have the Galaxy Fold 2.
Yeah, and this time we promise it won't break on day one.
Pinky promise.
Goals.
Oh, so yeah. There's not really a good segue into this next one either. I'm sorry. We're
Uh,
failing on the segues.
there isn't, but how about we do the Twitch show right now?
Okay, we'll show.
I'll let you take this one.
Okay. So, if you like this show, and we hope you do, it would be super awesome if you could subscribe to us on Twitch. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can connect your Twitch account to your Amazon account to get one free subscription every month, and then you can give that to us, and you give us money without actually paying anything yourself. So that's pretty awesome. When you subscribe, you get the warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart from helping other people. You get a special emoji in the chat, and you get extra entry methods in all the giveaways that we do on our site. And we'll have more of those giveaways coming up soon. So be on the lookout for those. And you can find the instructions for linking your account below this stream on our Twitch page. Or if you're listening to the audio version, it's in the description at the very bottom. Also, if you subscribe through Prime, those have to be renewed manually every month. So if you subscribed in the past, just double check that you're still subscribed by going to twitch.tv/entrypolice. And if you're not subscribed, it'll say subscribe in the corner, and then you just hit the button again. You don't have to do all the account mess again. And while I was talking, Ericathon subscribed.
Arathcon.
Arathcon subscribed. The name pushed out of my chat window as I was reading it. That was annoying. But thank you for subscribing. And yeah, also when you subscribe while we're live, a giant pixel notch appears at the top of the screen. You probably just saw that. So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, so what's not a lot of fun is Huawei putting advertising on their phone lock screens. There we go. I nailed that one.
And just after we do our own ad.
Exactly. The irony is not lost on us. So this was a fun thing, and people, and I wrote this earlier, and a lot of people are already accusing me of shilling for a company other than Huawei. Um, I still haven't, people accuse me of being a Google shill, but I still haven't got my Google checks in the mail, so I don't know about that. But anyway, so I didn't know this, but apparently Huawei phones have something built in where it will switch between like nature shots, kind of like if you leave, like when you install Windows 10 and the default option for the the lock screen or the password login screen is just like random pictures from Bing or whatever. It's sort of like that. So what Huawei seems to be doing, and we don't have a whole lot of details about this because everything's coming from user reports, but what they seem to be doing is those pictures now have logos for booking.com on them. Because the assumption is that you can go to these places with booking.com. So these, and if you want to look at pictures, we have obviously the article link in the Twitch chat and the show notes. But so these are appearing on people with a lot of different Huawei phones, like the P30 Pro, Honor 10, P20 Pro. So it's not even like super budget phones where maybe they have to subsidize the price. It's like also the $1,000 phones. So obviously people are mad when when they pay a lot of money for a nice phone and now they're getting advertising. There's a lot of reports on Reddit and Twitter and all sorts of social media. And also that sorry, the advertising doesn't seem to be limited to a certain country. It's just appearing for people all over the world. So it's not even like something weird that's only happening on Chinese devices. It's all of them. And I even saw some threads where people tried to contact Huawei support, and Huawei support thought maybe it was some kind of like malware that got installed, and that doesn't seem to be the case. And it also doesn't seem to be the case that this is related to installing the Booking.com app, because some people said they never had the app installed and it showed up, and some people said they had the app installed but then they removed it and the pictures are still there. So it doesn't seem to be linked to installing an app on your phone. It's just, so granted, you can fix this by just switching to a different wallpaper, but the point still stands. This should not happen in the first place. And I'm kind of curious how it happened. Like I almost want to think maybe Huawei is getting these pictures from like a third party provider, and that third party just decided, oh, we can monetize this, because that I know that happened maybe 2 to 3 years ago on some HTC phones, back when HTC shipped phones with I think it was Touch Pal keyboard. Is that what it was? It was
yeah.
some third.
Okay, yes. Well, see, when this started, I was going to bring up HTC did this on purpose with its version of what we would now call Google Discover or Feed or whatever. They had whatever their version of that was. Totally drawing a blank on the name of it, but that HTC was pushing ads into that. Samsung has pushed ads through push notifications.
Yeah, that's been a thing.
LG, I forget exactly where it was, but they pushed ads through something once. Like every OEM has done this.
Yeah.
In a way, like if you haven't done this yet, you're part of
it's a rite of passage.
Yeah, you kind of have to do this at least once in order to be a full-fledged OEM at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know when the HTC keyboard thing happened, if I remember correctly, that was because the keyboard being pre-installed on HTC phones, I think that listing was published by TouchPal, so TouchPal could do it whatever they want with it, that was a terrible security decision. I don't know who at HTC thought that was okay, but that ended quickly as far as I know. So it's, again, we don't really have enough information. It's not clear if HTC itself is doing this or if it's something messing with the wallpaper service that shouldn't be. But ultimately, it's still on a Huawei phone, so Huawei's still responsible, and it doesn't appear to be like malware hijacking the lock screen or anything like that. So,
it's definitely a bad move. It's more honestly like it's just a straight up bad PR move.
It's definitely not a good move right now.
But to be fair, Huawei's PR has been pretty challenged recently, and a whole lot of that has to do with the infamous Huawei ban. Uh which right now Google is actually trying to kind of work some angles and maybe fix. Um, the short version is Google really wants to make sure Huawei has access to Android. They really want to make sure Huawei has access to Google services. Correct, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I knew I read this and it's like suddenly,
It
just as I'm
all
saying that,
it
it's like,
all
wait a
blends
second,
together.
did I
Yeah.
get that right? But yeah, the short end of this is they're trying to talk the government into giving them an exemption that would allow Huawei to continue using Android as they are today with the Google partnership and everything. Um, and fundamentally, it would it would basically take away any practical reason for Huawei to continue developing their own operating system and pushing it out on their phones, which Google basically argues as sort of a backhanded compliment. We're kind of worried that it would open up possibilities of malware. It would open up possibilities of breaking up more business and everything else. Uh, and yeah, it's an understandable argument, but I think it's also it honestly like it's a flimsy argument to me, but at the same time I think it's something that just warrants doing. And everyone knows that the ban is much more political than anything. So
Yeah.
banning them from an operating system and partnerships largely it doesn't make a lot of sense. So an exemption
Yeah.
like this is kind of a reasonable ask.
Well, I think because yeah, I don't know what the Android licensing payments are, but I guess a stronger argument could have been, and maybe Google made this in like the full report that might not be public, but you know, Google makes money from Huawei, and it helps an American business. So that's one thing, and of course Qualcomm, Huawei buys components directly from Qualcomm, so I'm sure Qualcomm makes quite a lot of money from that because Huawei is a very big device seller. But yeah, Google, I mean, they still profit financially from Huawei devices, especially through payments through the Play Store and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a valid reason for them to. I don't know. This is kind of still a huge mess, and it's still not really clear what direction it's going to go in the long term. Um, and from what I understand, uh, trade talks between the U.S. and China have like completely broken down at this point. So who knows if this will get resolved before the ban is supposed to go into effect? But yeah,
And in general at this point, it's just Google asking.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
responses. There's no follow-ups. This is so much sort of well, kind of like announcing that you're going to announce something. The truth is, it's just they're trying for this, but there are
I
no follow-ups.
Yeah, I actually think Google could probably be playing this a little bit more publicly. Because one thing I was shocked by is I was looking at the replies to the official Android Twitter account, which normally just posts things like new Wear OS watches or maybe like updates to the Play Store or something like that. And they did make that one tweet about we're complying with U.S. laws. Huawei devices will still get security updates, all that stuff. But in all their recent tweets, there's always a ton of replies from people like yelling at Google for cutting off Huawei, or yelling at Google for like, I'm never buying an Android again because you did this to Huawei. Like uh, it's hard to make a distinction, but in the general community of people buying phones that are knowledgeable at all about the different brands, it seems a shockingly large amount of people think that Google wants to cut Huawei off when they're complying with the US order. They have no other choice right now, unless I don't know if they can sue the US government. I'm not a lawyer, but like they're following a law, and they're getting chastised for it by a large number of people. So I'm kind of shocked that Google doesn't want to play the full on the victim card publicly. Like, they could make a video or blog post or whatever saying we don't want to do this, but we have to because the U.S. government is making us. If you don't like this, you should tell the government. I don't know.
Yeah,
It could also be that they don't want to stir up the pot more. And
that's kind of where I was about to go with that. There's so much contention right now between not just Google. Almost every tech company is having some sort of
that's
either
true.
either spiritual struggle or just outright battling it out with some aspect of the current government conditions. Let's phrase it that way. Uh, so everyone is sort of having their issues, and it doesn't matter where you fall. The thing is, you just don't like right now. You don't want to stir the pot in ways that are going to encourage retaliation, and so I
Yeah,
can
that's
understand
that.
Google avoiding that.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that a lot because that would be a very easy angle for attack ads or something along those lines. Like those evil Silicon Valley companies are teaming up with the evil Chinese companies. But yeah, I yeah, that seems logical.
Yeah, sadly, right now,
It's just
I,
not a good situation for anyone.
no,
It's
no. I
not
mean,
fun.
every company is in their weird positions, and the relationships between Google and Meowway are just not where they need to be. So,
Meow way.
um, it it's the thing from chat. It had to be said.
Yeah, meow
Um,
way. It's
for
your way or the Huawei.
yes.
I'm sorry.
So, it and just a note for anybody that's not currently listening to us live, you should be because you're missing a great thing in chat right now.
Yeah, chat's a
Uh,
lot of fun.
yes. Anyway, um, so I don't know. Do you have any more to say on this?
No,
Yeah.
we'll tune back next week for Huawei Death Watch continues.
The continuing adventures of Huawei versus the U.S. government.
Yeah, the continuing adventures of lawsuits.
Yes.
Oh my god! All right,
So anyway, um,
switching
on
things to
on
a nice
happier news.
lighthearted story. Yeah, nice
Yes,
lighthearted, fun
yes.
story.
Uh, oh, oh, damn. I was trying to think of what those are called, and I'm human interest stories. But developer interest stories, as it were. Asus is actually doing something pretty freaking cool. And this isn't the first time we've seen companies do this, but they're sending phones out to community developers, specifically the Zenfone 6, which was the recently released phone that has the camera that flips itself around.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it, and they are sending these out to ROM developers and a couple of other hackers in the community, basically saying, "Hey, we'd really like you to develop for this. We really want you to get ROMs up to par. We want support as good as it can be. That way, the community is making these phones better than we can by ourselves." And they've absolutely done that. There's already a good Gcam port, um, which is now out in early releases, I believe. There's, let's see, as I skim back over the article, uh,
Yeah.
looks
Well, they.
like
Yeah. Well, they.
support from Lineage OS, OmniROM, Carbon ROM, and some others.
Yeah, they send
Yeah,
devices out to those. I don't think they're officially supported yet,
yeah, that's
but
right.
it'll come. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so it's nice to see Asus. Um, the one thing I am reminded by this, and this might be, I hate to add a little bit of cynicism to our lighthearted news story, but um, uh, I think it was late 2017 or early 2018. Huawei did this exact same thing with, I think it was, I want to say the P20 Lite, one of those, what, or no, the Honor. It was an Honor phone, I believe. But anyway, they tried to get it. It was one of the phones they were competing very directly with OnePlus on. And of course, one of the main appeals of OnePlus devices is the very extensive ROM support. So they sent a lot of those phones out to developers, and it had pretty good support for it. And it was a good phone. Um, but a couple months later, Huawei decided not to allow bootloader unlocks anymore, which is kind of important if you want to mod your device at all. Um, so I hope Asus doesn't do that. That was kind of a not nice move from Huawei. And it, yeah, But yeah, no, I like that Asus is doing this. Asus, I have to say, is really rocking it with the Zenfone 6. From everything I've seen, it's a pretty nice phone. You can, the camera thing, you can uh, maybe doesn't have the best utility, but it's neat. But the phone experience itself, from everything I've seen, is very solid. I haven't tried one myself, but everyone seems to say very nice things about it. It's priced very well, um, and of course now they're trying to reach out and make it more competitive in terms of ROM development. So, yeah, good job, Asus. I'm glad to see Asus maybe springing back a little bit in the eyes of um, the the Android enthusiasts. I know obviously they've been selling phones to the masses for a long time, but um, yeah, it's nice to see them doing something neat. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I like Asus. They make good stuff.
Yeah. In general, just have to agree. I'm always happy to see there being something like this where they know that there's a benefit to it, so it's worth poning up a few devices
Yeah,
to sort of kickstart this effort.
and this is always rare from a big phone company. Like I'm sure maybe a lot of the smaller brands probably do this, but you don't see Google or HTC or Motorola or any of them really reaching out to developers at all.
Not in a long time, no.
Yeah. And yeah, the most you'll see is maybe 6 months after a phone comes out, they'll release the kernel source code. There you go, guys.
Yeah, sadly true. So we're going to end on one last kind of sort of sad death, but also a very telling one. Google is dropping Daydream support in the Movies and TV app. For those of you that don't use Daydream or never really paid attention to it, this was one of those things. Like back when Daydream was first announced, and I think even going back as far as Cardboard, one of the going things was everybody said, "Hey, I want to be able to hop on a plane and watch a movie on my phone for the whole duration of it, and just like tune out the world." And that's what this support kind of gave you, was that whole thing where you could just kick back, turn on A Knight's Tale, and plug in your headphones and ignore the plane ride. That was awesome. It was kind of terrible once you actually got to try it because your phone got stupid hot. The Daydream headset was okay, but not as comfortable as it could have been, and various other problems. But overall, um, yeah, yeah, it was kind of a neat thing, and I'm sad to see it going. The thing is, I think this is also a massively telling sign that there just wasn't use. I don't think people are really doing this thing, and largely for all reasons I just listed. It's it's a nice idea, but when the implementation sucks, I don't think you can get people to stick to it.
Yeah, well, first let me preface and say I like Daydream, but I haven't used it in a long time because I've been using OnePlus phones and none of them support Daydream. And right now I'm using a Pixel 3a XL, which also doesn't support Daydream because I believe the chip inside isn't quite up to the task. But regardless, I haven't had the chance to really use Daydream a ton. Um, but I will say I never tried the Play Movies app, but I did use the YouTube app a lot, and it was very good. So I can kind of understand Google wanting to condense the experience into just like their one really strong thing because you can watch your Play Movie purchases from YouTube. So you're not really losing any functionality. The only thing I don't know is I don't think you can download movies for offline with the YouTube app. I think that's just for Play Movies unless you have premium.
I haven't tried that. Well, I also, to be fair, I'm exclusively I've been a YouTube Red subscriber since day one, so I guess I probably wouldn't really try it anyway. But yeah, I haven't checked in on that. That's kind of a niche,
Let
or
me
not a
let
niche
me
case, but it
check.
it would be complicated.
I have let's see. Yeah, in the at least on the phone YouTube app, it doesn't let me download purchases. So
Yeah, that
that
sucks.
would be a real bummer for Daydream people. Um, Someone asked in the chat, didn't Daydream support Netflix? I believe the Netflix app is still there, and I use that a little bit. I use the Hulu app a lot, which was pretty decent. So, um, yeah. So I don't know. I do think it's a little bit telling that they couldn't even put in the resources to maintain the Daydream app because, like, presumably it didn't need any updating. I mean, there hasn't been any wild changes to Daydream that would need rewrites or something like that.
Yeah, and the Play Movies app, honestly, like it does not change much.
Yeah.
The few changes that they do make are nice, but the thing is, they are fairly rare, and the app is kind of like at its maintenance point, where for the most part, every change is either a bug fix or they're just adding a fairly small feature, or at least like to the outside, it feels like a pretty small feature.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never been a fan of the Play Movies app, honestly. Like on my computer, I when I wanted to, like, if I had my Chromebook, I'd never use the Play, like the web Play Movies, or even, or like the Chrome OS app when it had an app, because like you could never change the quality manually, and it would always choose really low res video all the time, because, you know, because it's trying to be like Netflix, where it'll just, the priority is starting the stream, not necessarily make it 1080p. So that always bugged me. So I always watch my purchases through YouTube. Even on the Chromecast, I have issues casting Play Movies to a Chromecast, so I almost always cast it from the YouTube app. So I've never liked the Play Movies app. I don't think it's a it's a huge loss here, but I do think the offline thing, if that's an issue for Daydream, that would be annoying. Um,
so it's starting to kind of kick over to me. And this has been discussed in the past, but with YouTube taking over Google Play Music, and they already were they were already providing like the back end for Play Movies all this time anyway. I'm kind of wondering if this is just the first step in them possibly taking over Play Movies entirely and moving everything fully under YouTube's umbrella.
hmm. That would be interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
I
Um,
like I can understand being opposed to the Google Play Music shift, but yeah, Play Movies at this point, I don't see a reason not to, other
yeah,
than the fact the
there's,
Play Store is technically responsible for selling. But
yeah, the only thing that, well, first of all, I've never been a huge fan of Google consolidating their all their media stuff under YouTube, because I think it's just riding YouTube's coattails. It's not, the branding no longer makes sense. The revamped apps are kind of have weird YouTube integrations, but I think it does make sense in this case. Like, I'd be really curious to see what the numbers are on, you know, when you search it, when you search a movie on YouTube, like one of the first results is always like the movie that right there that you can rent or buy. I'd be really curious what the conversion rate is for buying stuff through YouTube versus buying stuff through the Play Store or the Play Movies app. I would imagine YouTube is far greater.
oh,
Um,
see,
but
I
but it
feel
also,
like for
a lot of people
actual
have the Play Store, go through the Play Store. So I don't know. I feel like YouTube's more though, because I think, you know, people don't go to the Play Store. But I say people, I don't have anything to back this up, but I feel like most people don't go to the Play Store with the idea, I want to look at movies. They go to the Play Store with, I want to download an app. So I do wonder. I do really want to know what the conversion rate is.
I feel like a big part of this is the difference between like regular people versus us.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I think a lot more people go to the Play Store willingly to look for movies, though to be fair, they're probably the first place they're looking is Netflix, not
right.
even anywhere where they'd be buying movies at all. Um and then after that, it's depending on where their ecosystem loyalties lie. I would tend to think it would be split between like Amazon and then Google Play. I always have trouble imagining people going to YouTube for movies. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine people go there with that express thing, but when it shows up in the search results whenever you search for a movie, I think that's probably really what does it.
yeah,
And
but
and
I don't know. I
just
just have trouble picturing people getting movies through YouTube.
yeah.
Which maybe that's just one of those things where if YouTube started marketing it more, it would pick up really
Well,
quick.
it's it goes back to the same problem I feel like with YouTube Music, where like YouTube, you go there with in the mindset of I want to watch things made by creators, not I want to go watch a Jimmy Kimmel video or I want to watch Captain Marvel, the entire feature film.
Yeah.
So but I know also the search and algorithms and stuff play a role in that. And just out of curiosity, I just searched for a movie on Google, and they show purchase links to both YouTube and Google Play Movies, which is
Hmm.
that's kind of funny because
Yeah,
it's the
makes
same
sense.
thing. Um,
And suddenly all I'm just picturing is YouTube now needs to make a new app called YouTube Movies, and so they can kill the Play Movies version over time. But yeah, just create yet another YouTube app that will be very awkwardly supported.
I really hate that YouTube's now Google's media umbrella. I hate from like a branding perspective. I can't stand that. Like it's not YouTube. It's the YouTube Music app has music from not YouTube people. I don't know. It drives me crazy. But that's getting into nitty gritty.
Well, so okay, this is going a little off topic, but I just have to throw it out there. I'm suddenly picturing uh, a YouTube Movies app where you can buy or rent a movie,
Right.
and as part of this, all of the like associated creators who've done reviews on the movie or um, like I don't know. I don't want to say reaction videos, but just whatever. Anything that can be
Yeah.
very directly
Comment.
associated with that movie. Yeah, good commentaries, things like that. It would actually be kind of neat to have that stuff presented alongside the movie as like extras that you could watch. I don't
Yeah,
know, just
they
a
could
weird
do that.
thought.
They could do that. You know, they're building the whole purchasing thing into YouTube, where like when you're watching a video, like recommendations of things to buy will show up at the bottom. They could totally do that easily for movies. Like you're watching Avengers Endgame here. We'll put some little Avengers shirts in the below the video. You can just right on buy them. Yeah, yeah. Ninja said trailers. Yeah, it could show like autoplay trailers. I hate autoplay so much, but they could add autoplay for trailers for other movies. Yeah.
So what I'm picturing, oh god, this would be so funny. But imagine a how it should have ended. You've heard of those?
Yeah, just they put that
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah, those should totally be recommendations after you watch a movie.
That's really
How it
funny,
should have
actually.
ended, or if not if, but when they eventually be carrying the Star Wars movies, have some of the fan cuts shown.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so good. Like the fan made. No, here's our version of Phantom Menace. You know, the 15-minute cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. Um, I don't really like the Play Movies app. It's pretty garbage. But if they do, hopefully the Daydream YouTube app will get downloads, because if not, that would really suck for anyone who wanted to use this on a plane. Like I think probably the biggest market for one of these things is.
Yeah. No, I agree. And outside of that, Daydream does seem like it's just sort of this meandering thing that Google is putting very little effort into at this point. If they are putting effort into it, it's honestly just not showing. Maybe there's a lot more to it than I'm aware of, but it seems like at this point they're a lot more focused on doing the AR stuff, and Daydream has just become like this sort of weird thing on the side.
Well, yeah, and I also think Daydream, the games are a lot more appealing probably than sitting in a place and watching YouTube on a virtual screen for 2 hours. So that might be what more people are using this for, is just really basic games.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I haven't even tried playing a game on Daydream in ages. It just seemed like there wasn't that much coming out, but I don't know. I admit I haven't been watching that closely.
Yeah, I've only tried a couple, but I was using a 2016 Pixel with Daydream, so there wasn't a lot of extra processing power left over to play games.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I think that about wraps it for the night. So if you've been listening and you'd like to help support the channel, we have Twitch subscriptions. Help us out with that. You can subscribe on twitch.tv/Android Police. A Twitch subscription is free with your Amazon Prime membership. Um, look, if you've been listening this far, you've already heard the spiel. So, short version,
Just
come
do
help
it.
us
You know
out.
what you have to do at this point. Just do it.
Yeah, if you're listening, you're hearing this later, look it up. You're finished listening to the episode. It's kind of a thing to do.
I'm sure you're a smart person. You can Google some of this. It's not difficult.
Yeah, Twitch makes it kind of easy. They like that. But hey, come subscribe. It gets you free entries into our contests, which we're going to have some good ones coming up pretty soon. And yeah, you know the deal. Long silent pause.
Oh, do I need to say goodnight? Is that what we're doing?
I figured you might.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Talk to you guys later.